petrolheads, it's time to introduce the founder of Car Collection Advisors. Some say his blood is synthetic motor oil, while others, they say he starts his day off with a shot of high-octane racing fuel. Now, without further ado, start your engines and let's take it from here in second gear and welcome Racer X!
Welcome everyone to my new channel, Car Collection Advisors. This channel is for all of you car fanatics and petrol heads like myself. If you love cars and racing and everything that comes along with car collecting, you're going to love this channel. There's going to be a lot of content, a lot of drives, and a lot of fun. So let's take a peek at the car collection, and then we're going to come to the office and show you the outline of what future content entails, and then back to the collection because it'll make more sense to you when we're discussing some of the different cars in the collection. So come on, it's going to be fun. If you love cars like me, this is my nirvana, this is my passion, and I'm going to impart upon you all my years of collecting this collection and all the good and the bad and the ugly in the process. So here it is, come on. So follow me into the office and we're going to tell you what the content is intended for. So here's a brief overview of what Car Collection Advisors is all about. So it really, we talk about value and what determines value in collecting cars and how to pick a car that you're not going to drive off the lot and it's going to depreciate 20% as soon as you drive off the lot. And we're going to go through the different elements to have good value. And so hopefully you can buy a car you can use, drive, and it may even be worth more money down the road. So the first thing is brand recognition, which is critical. And we have Porsche, which is kind of at the top of the food chain. We have McLaren, we have Lamborghini, and many other brands, Ferrari. And brand recognition derives from race heritage and just how long these brands have been in existence. And that's why Porsche is kind of at the top of the chain, Ferrari's at the top, Lamborghini is up there, and as a matter of fact, Lamborghini is really developing their brand currently. The next factor that you want to consider when picking a supercar or hypercar is serviceability. And that's broken down into convenience and price. Porsche has a service network everywhere. They're almost on every corner. Not quite, but they're readily available. Parts are available. You can get in. Porsche is amazing. And then we talk about price of servicing. And I'll just give you a prime example which affects a decision in picking a car. For example, you know, a Porsche Carrera GT, I think my last annual service was $1,500. The 918 was around $2,000. Now let's talk about Bugatti, and maybe one reason I don't have one in my collection. It's $20,000 for an annual service, or at least approximately $20,000. If you wear out a set of tires, which I do all the time because I drive super hard, it's somewhere between $30,000 and $42,000 for a set of tires, or you're going to spend a fraction of that with Porsche, Ferrari, Lamborghini. Let's take the Ford GT. Wow, that's like $400 or $500 to service it. So those factors are very important. And then let's go to the next one, performance. Huge. Two elements of performance is handling and acceleration. I'm an acceleration freak. I have to have the fastest cars. That's all there is to it. But from my racing history, they have to do both, handle and accelerate. And the majority of my collection, they do both. And we'll get into that more when we go through the collection. Looks, it's got to be sexy. Same thing I looked for when I found my wife. And sound, naturally aspirated versus turbo. Have to call a spade a spade. Natural aspiration is better. We'll talk about that with the Speciale, with the Carrera GT, the GT4 RS, GT3 RSs. Driving experience, huge. Manual versus dual clutch versus auto. Let's start at the end there with auto. Don't get one. That's my advice. If it has a torque converter, don't even consider the car. I won't mention names of brands that have them because I don't like to talk bad about anyone, but they're no good. Dual clutch is great, and Porsche, amazing. McLaren, Ferrari, and now Lamborghini with the Revuelto dual clutch. That will be coming to the garage down the road when Lamborghini offers it to me. I do have a deposit on one. But these cars all take time to get. Manual transmission, get them if you can. Any manual transmission car is worth its weight in gold. It'll go nowhere but up. Next factor, supply and demand. Namely, how many cars did they make? We'll talk about that when we go through the cars in the garage in a minute. A numbered car is the way to go. And we can go through how many they made. The 918, they made 918. There's less of them now because cars have crashed, been totaled. The Carrera GT, they made 1270. Much less now with the number of cars that have been totaled. And that's worldwide, by the way. That's not in the US. You can figure about 20% of those numbers going to the US, maybe 25%. McLaren P1, 375, a little over 100 in the US. Amazing. And it's a numbered car. That one is numbered. It's not just one of 375. LaFerrari, 499. Okay. Another part of the content of this channel is going to be racing tips. And I just love racing. And I'm going to give a racing tip at the end of every video. You're going to start today with vision. Then we're going to go into braking and acceleration, among other things. The other thing we're going to discuss is car care. And if your car is sat for a while and you're going to take it out for a run, what to do. It's sort of like an airplane, like a pre-flight check. And that's something you want to always do. So I think you'll glean a lot of good information from this channel. I've been collecting cars for 35 years, a long time. So I've made a lot of mistakes. I've lost money on cars. And so from my mistakes, hopefully we can utilize that so that you don't make the same mistakes I did. And collect cars and not lose money whether it's a car that you're going to drive or you're just going to have as your Sunday driver. I think it's important to have a car that's going to be worth something down the road instead of just depreciating. Anyway, now follow me out to the garage. We're going to talk about some of the cars and some brief reviews. Later, content will be an in-depth review of every car. There's going to be content about whether you should put an exhaust system on the car, whether you should modify it, the pros and cons to modifications. And if you are going to modify it, I'll give you some good tips so that you save your car and don't burn up wiring harnesses and things. And maybe which cars you might want to avoid modifying. So anyway, let's go ahead into the fun part. Follow me out to the garage. So we'll start with one of my favorites. This is the 918 Spider, and this car is what has made it possible for me to acquire all the other Porsches in this collection, because in late 2014 I placed a deposit on this car, bought it through a dealership, and Porsche rewarded me with a VIP program for 10 years where I get first choice of all their limited edition cars, and I get them at MSRP, which is amazing. I love Porsche, and there are 918 new of this, and the value is great. The Carrera GT I bought years and years ago before the program, and it's, I think, one of the best sounding cars in the world. We're going to do some tunnel videos. We're going to do a tunnel video, the Carrera GT, the GT4 RS we'll get to in a minute. And this has a catback exhaust that is unbelievable, but it's smog compliant, and it's an incredible car. I did put different tires on it. They're Trofeo R's because of all the problems that people have had with the Michelin Super Sports. And, you know, unfortunately, these cars with those tires are a handful. With the Trofeo R's, this thing sticks like glue. It's a racer's dream. I know it's been criticized for not having enough, you know, safety devices, namely like traction control or stability control. It does have traction control, but us as racers, this is intended for someone with racing experience. This isn't intended for a beginner driver in any regard. A lot of people criticize the clutch. That's people that don't have patience and want to do burnouts. I don't do burnouts. My cars are fast enough to where I can roll out the clutch and accelerate and still beat everyone, and that's all there is to it. You don't want to put extra stress on the drivetrain, but this car, you heel out, and I can be on a steep hill and heel out. You don't give it gas. You heel out gently. Once you're driving and shifting, it's the best double clutching car ever. You can rev match. It's like music to your ears, and that's all there is to it. But this car is designed for race car drivers. When we race, we take all the traction controls off. And that's all there is to it. I'm behind Porsche on this car. There's nothing but good things to be said about this car. This is one of the greatest cars ever made. The best sounding car, the way mine's set up, even better than the best. GT2 RS, through the program, love this car. It's always going to be in the collection. This car is Godzilla. It is ballistic. It handles insane. It is so fast. The kick down in the transmission is unbeatable. This thing kicks down, and in certain circumstances, this car is really one of the fastest. It's a record holder at Nürburgring. I know there's a lot of debate about that, but between this and Lamborghini, but with a Mandy kit on it, this thing is the record holder. Other than now the Mercedes Project One, which really doesn't count because that's like a show car, and it's not homologated for U.S. And I don't think it's a fair comparison. It's really not a production car like this is, and it's still one of the fastest to this day. P1, 375. This car is sick. The intake, the wastegates, the turbo sound. You got that roof scoop. Race mode. This thing drops down to the ground. The wing comes up. So much downforce. I love this car. Maybe my favorite car. You know, it's hard to decide in some regards, but this one will never go away. Every time I get in it, I feel like I'm in a F1 jet. It is insane. We're going to do videos. We're going to put it in race mode. We're going to take it through its paces. All my cars go through paces. 765 LT, McLaren. All I got is praise for McLaren. This car is unbelievable. This is eye candy, literally. This was an MSO. McLaren on a Zoom conference built this car for me, and I had this car within a year. My hat's off to McLaren. And the performance of this car, unbelievable, unbelievable. And what makes this car so special is it's a roadster, but guess what? It's ever so slightly heavier than the LT Coupe version. And that is why, because it's got a carbon tub. There was no need to reinforce anything on this car. This car sounds the business, pops, crackles. Matter of fact, after this video, I'm going to go take this out and run it through its paces. You're going to hear everything. Full tilt. There's no holding back. This car has center brakes. Comes with center calipers. I ordered this one with the carbon ceramic discs off the center. This thing stops like no one's business. The active aero, I love it. Every time that wing goes up, I'm laughing. I'm loving it. And it reels in the downforce. And the look, this is candy apple red. It's an MSO. I love volcano red, but McLaren said, we'll do one better. We're going to do candy apple red. You'll be the only one with candy apple red. And I always wanted a candy apple red car. I love it. I love it. And so as you can see, I have two of the Holy Trinity. And I wish I had a LaFerrari, then I'd have the Holy Trinity. But just to be honest, it's too much money. I don't have $3.5 million in my pocket right now. And if that day comes along, you know, I'll add it to the collection. But for now, I'm pretty happy with what I have. In this collection, I had to work really hard for 35 years and pretty much do everything but steal to get this collection. I had to work hard, borrow, pay off loans, and here it is. So I've got, like, instead of the trifecta, the bifecta. Now let's go and talk about the GT4 RS. Again, Porsche, thank you, through the program. Let me special order it with an invitation. One of the first ones in the launch spec, Arctic Gray. Had this on the track, and this car is an animal. The sound of the engine is, I hate to say it, better than a GT3 RS. Those side intakes right here, and the engine being exposed mid. Don't put anything in here you want sucked out of your hand, because this thing will suck air like no one's business. And you do not put an exhaust in this car unless you want to wear earplugs driving it. This is a Weissach with the carbon brakes, and this thing rips around a track. And with the local canyons, you can point and shoot. Phenomenal car. That's all I have to say. Up on that lift, because my wife also is, you know, loves to drive, and she can handle high horsepower cars. That's her LP640. That car's badass. And onto the SF90. I love the car. It's amazing. It's a rocket. What makes this car special is the Assetto Fiorano package. It knocks 66 pounds off the weight of a regular SF90, but the carbon wheels and the Multimatic suspension is what makes this car stand out from a standard. And the carbon fiber wheels knock off almost 40 pounds of weight. And the steering feels like this is a 3,000-pound car like this, when it's like knocking on the door of 4,000. But one thing I did when we discussed about this being such a good roadster, the SF90 Roadster is 220 pounds heavier than just the regular non-SF90 Assetto. And so this one, if you had a standard SF90 Spider, with the carbon wheels, the Assetto, this car is like 330 pounds lighter. So I have a Spider. It's been on order for years. I don't know if I'll ever get one. I've had a deposit on a Spider for over 2 years. It hasn't even been built yet. I don't even know if it'll come. But I would not order an Assetto. Why trim for 50 or 60,000, trim 66 pounds off a car that's already 220 pounds heavier than this? If you want the fast one, this is the one. And you got to have the carbon wheels. The Assetto gives you titanium suspension, Multimatic, race car driver's dream. And this thing is ballistic fast. Great car. In this corner, we have a Kirkham Cobra. which is just a beautiful car. It is all aluminum, hand stamped in a Polish MIG factory. Kirkham was just great to deal with, and then Mike McCluskey put the car together. It's got a Dembeski 511, a 427 stroke to 511, fuel injected, which really makes it special. Dyno sheet shows 680 horsepower with 2,000 pounds. A rocket, and very much fun, and a beautiful car. Next car in the collection is the Lamborghini Miura, and this car is a 67 P400. I did a full restoration on this car, and this car actually won the Boulevard, which is the highest coveted award you can get. It won Italian Concorso, Best in Show, Best Miura, and it's a phenomenal car. The motor, of course, when I rebuilt it with Ed Pink Racing and the top Lamborghini Miura marks in the country, this motor is the business. Short sleeve chrome moly pistons. It revs like a Carrera GT. It sounds insane, and that car will stay in the collection and will hopefully be parked next to the Revuelto, which is, there's the best early 12-cylinder Lambo with the new best modern. And what's going to make the Revuelto so good is a dual clutch, natural aspiration, all new V12 with hybrid. It'll be interesting to see which one's faster, the SF90 or the Revuelto, and I promise you we will find out together in this journey. Next car, when I was talking about value and natural aspiration, 458 Speciale Nart edition, radio delete. That way the carbon fiber doors are all carbon, not cut off with speakers. This car has every carbon bit, has the carbon wings in the back. It has, these are carbon, rear diffuser, every carbon piece in the engine bay, front carbon. Love the Nart spec. This is a great investment car. You can still pick them up reasonably priced. I recommend it. Revs to 9,000, rocket ship fast, super light, handles amazing. Just, I think this is a great car to add to your collection, and it's not too late. This, through the 918 program again, GT3 Touring, manual, 6-speed, which I like better than a 7-speed. Full leather interior, racing seats, carbon roof, carbon mirrors. Great car. Naturally aspirated, revs to 9,000. This car will never lose its value. Next, Ford GT. Love this. I've had it, since it was released. And again, it's because of the sexy look, the sound, the performance, the fact they didn't make too many. We know where values have gone from MSRP of 165 to somewhere between 400 and 500,000. I'm never going to sell it, so I'm never going to get that gain, but hey, I can pass it on to my kids. Someday that car is going to be worth a lot of money. It's a lot of fun to drive, and this car, smog compliant, 730 horsepower. This is the business. Different tires from stock. They don't even make the stock Goodyears. These are Bridgestones, and the rears, instead of 315s, are 335s. This thing puts the power down now, handles better, and we're going to go over a lot of these things in future videos, how you can really get the most out of your cars. And then on top, these are like art niches. I built this garage from the ground up, has 13-foot ceilings. These are custom lifts from American Custom Lift. One of the comments asked who was the manufacturer, so there you go for that person that had the comment. These were custom designed for this garage. Some are taller, They have wider trays for hypercars. You know, as you can see, that Mercy has a super wide stance but fits on no problem. And they're easier to get on. The trays are about 7 inches wider than a standard tray. They hold 6,500 pounds, and they're flush at the bottom. If you look between the Mura and the 458, you'll see you don't drive over anything. My old lifts by them had these plates, but we did recess these into the build. So this whole garage was custom built. The turntable I had made custom, and that's so we can access cars. These Jaguars, again, it goes to that part of the outline that talks about looks. Enzo Ferrari, I'll quote him, that E-Type is the most beautiful car in the world. And it has such beautiful lines. It was designed by like an aeronautical engineer, kind of like it has an airplane fuselage. But just a beautiful car. It's not the super fast car, so it's sort of my more meditating car to drive in, but it's so beautiful that I'm keeping it. That V12, that's a modified V12 by Ed Pink, 6.5 liters, fuel injected, 400 horsepower rocket. So it's very cool. That one rips. That one is so fast. In that corner is a 65, 327, 365 horse solid lifter Corvette. Original paint, original interior, all matching number, verified by Al Greening. Everything, white interior that looks beautiful. A hard top that I've stored, soft top, original Kelsey Hay wheels. Sounds beautiful, just a gorgeous car. Next one is that's a 99 355 Spider, manual transmission. That's what makes that car special. Do not get one in an F1. Regrets. That car is going up. That's a good car to get. And those belts they talk about having to be changed every 5 years, hogwash. Maybe if the car sits outside in terrible climate or is stored in Alaska, but the belts were changed once on that, and they're fine. I mean, yeah, maybe every 15 years. Forget this 5-year belt service. You don't need it. That car sounds 5 valves per cylinder. Race car drivers, we all love that engine. Sounds like a Formula One car. That car is going to go nowhere but up. You can still buy them right. I recommend it. The 6-speed is the lightest, clickiest gate you'll shift for a manual Ferrari. It is heaven. LP640 is going up. I wish it was a manual, but when they offered him as E-Gear, it was the new thing to get, and didn't have the foresight to order a manual, but it's still going up. And I think that's the only car in the collection that has not a dual clutch or a manual transmission. So this Corvette, super special. This was out of Rick Hendrick's collection. 427, 4.25 horse. It's got a lot more than 4.25 horse, but it's the original motor and heads. Kind of leave it confidential on why that car has 605 pound-feet of torque. It's a monster. And now, we're not done yet though. So when I designed this, there had to be a design such that if I have to get a car down from the lift, how do I do it? Well, the turntable can get these cars right on this turntable and move it right out to the daily driver section. Here's the daily driver section. This is a GTR, and normally I don't modify things, but this is a stage 1, and it's insane, and I love it. Another one of my wife's cars, she loves the pearl whites and lights, and she just spec'd this out and got this from my good friend Tom O'Gara, who, by the way, has been known to race as well. And My wife designed this spec, which is just a super spec. And what's interesting is Lamborghini allowed an option with it's got an aquapovic exhaust, which, how cool is that? And what's interesting is they don't ship it over with it. They install it after it gets to the US. And it sounds good, but it's just such a beautiful car. And that matches her balloon white LP640. She loves it. And so whenever I'd race cars, my wife would go to instructions and take lessons at the track, and she can handle 640 horse, which is amazing. And she drives stick shift really well. All the years of going to driving schools, made her a safe driver and paid off. And that's something I recommend to everyone buying a hypercar. Go to a driving school. Skip Barber, there's a number of them. And get on the track. Don't do things stupid on the street. Burnouts, again, result in a lot of problems. People, what they do is they do their burnout, and when they know they're getting in trouble, they release the gas super aggressive and go for the brake, and that's it. They're over a curb. You see them on all these car meets. It's not the thing to do. If you were going to, lose some traction, and the thing to do is, counter steer into it and ease ever so slightly off the gas, control the car. That's all there is to it. Here's another one I call my wife's daily driver. She loves the white. And this is a commuter daily driver hooked up. It's a hybrid, and it's a Polestar 1. The whole body's carbon fiber. Does have an engine. We do have a Tesla as well for commuting. And I think having an electric car or a hybrid is really a good thing for commuting. You need that for commuting, because no one wants to pay $6 a gallon. I don't, tell you that. So anyway, this is the majority of you've seen it, pretty much all of it, but we are going to do in-depth reviews, and at the end of this, I'm going to jump in that Candy Apple Red 765 and drive it the way it was meant to be driven, okay? And the whole car has clear on it. Also has a clear on the windshield, which I recommend for everyone. We'll get into that in the future. You don't break windshields. Rocks bounce off, and you can drive them hard, and you can drive in canyons. One little tip for canyons: always keep your eyes out for rocks. And that we're going to leave on my driving tip of the day, which we talked about earlier, which is vision. Vision, chin up, back of the head against the seat rest. Open your eyes like as if you're going to put toothpicks between your eyelids. Scan left and right. Always look way ahead, 2 turns ahead. Never look just at the turn you're at. Look as far. You will scribe a way better line to the apex. But get those synapses in the brain firing. Wake up, and by opening your eyes, shifting, keep your head back, you'll see a big difference. So for now, all you fellow petrol heads and car fanatics like me, au revoir till the next time.